What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Platinum Podcast. Welcome to episode 3 of the Platinum Podcast, where we talk about all things PlayStation trophies, and just all things gaming in general. I am again joined by Joel, aka GuyFarruski on YouTube. How are you doing, Joel?
I'm doing alright. How are you?
All good in the hood, some would say. Excellent. Okay,
I thought you were going to say living the dream again.
Well, I'm going to have to say something different every week, I've run out of things to say now. They're the only 2 lines I could say to someone saying if they're good or not. So now, next week, who knows what I'll say. So, guys,
exactly.
We're going to talk about Platinum Trophies, we're going to talk about gaming news, but before we talk about those, we're going to talk about games we've been playing. So, Joel, have you been playing any interesting games this week?
No, I wouldn't say interesting, but I've managed to finally Platinum Lara Croft Go. It took ages. It took longer than probably what it should have. And then I tried doing the puzzles on my own, and it was taking forever. And I just had to bite the bullet and just use hints. And that was it. That was it. Time is of the essence.
Time is important to us, and it took me about an hour to finish that game. So if it's taking you like 6 hours, then I feel sorry for you.
I think it took me like 2 weeks.
Fair enough.
Apart from that, it's just been the usual recording for videos. So that's pretty much it. So Sekiro, Dragon Ball, that's it.
Did you not put on your Instagram, you just got another platinum for a little cheeky game?
That was ages ago. So that was Grim Fandango. If you guys haven't heard of Grim Fandango, you probably should if you're like around our generation, because it was a PS1 game. It hasn't aged well, I'm not going to lie. It's very clunky, and to get the platinum, you have to play with what they call like block controls or something, which is like, Resident Evil controls, where you kind of spin the character to go forward. It can be a bit weird, but it's a funny game. I mean, it's pretty old. It's pretty old. If you don't use a guide, it's probably going to take you forever to platinum it, because there's a lot of missables, and there's a lot of, like, the game doesn't tell you what to do or where to go. You have to literally read all the dialogue and figure out where to go and how to get there. So
ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
So
it was a while ago, though. It was about a month ago I platinum. I just didn't have time to post it up.
So you've just started bragging now. The bragging rights have come in now. That's fair.
Yeah,
that's right. You've sort of like done a perfect segue, that's a good saying, right, into my games I've been playing this week. So I've been playing Red Dead 2, still working on that from last week, but I've also been playing Resident Evil 6. And if I had to describe Resident Evil 6 in one sentence, I would say it is the worst game on the PlayStation 4.
Really?
Yeah,
that bad?
It is. It's fun co-op, but this is the thing. Anything can be fun co-op. Like, playing with a bag of dog feces can be good with somebody else.
True.
So, but Resident Evil 6, it is like, not only is it a disgrace to the franchise, which it is, like, it's nothing like 1 to 4, which is what made it this thriller horror game. It's just this action-packed game where you run around with terrible controls, and it's a disgrace. It's like terrible story, terrible graphics, terrible gameplay, and it's stuck as well in Western stereotypes. Like, it's all the characters are just stereotypes of what people in the East think we are like. It's like, it's just very basic and insulting. Yeah, like, everyone's a patriot. Like, everyone like loves America and just like runs around. It's like, oh yeah, anything for the America, USA, blah blah blah. It's just not what people are like. But I'm going to finish the game, and I feel like we all know Capcom really took a leap with this game and really sort of tarnished their reputation. It was sort of like the Fallout 76 for Bethesda. I think that's what Resident Evil 6 was. And the online trophies, oh my days, they are horrendous. That
was going to be my question. What's the platinum like?
The platinum trophies like grindy. Like this is the thing about Capcom. If Capcom make their games, basically they'll make a game and they'll go, our game is so good, we want you to play it 11 times. Look at Devil May Cry. You have to finish every game on all the different difficulties. Look at Resident Evil 2. They had like 4 different plays. You have to play the game 4 different times. Resident Evil 3 is very similar. Resident Evil 6 is basically the same. They want you to play through every storyline basically twice, and then they also want you to bear in mind every storyline is like 5 hours. So there's 4 storylines, so 40 hours, and they also want you then to grind through terrible online DLC, which is honestly, it's just horrendous. It is like some of the worst gameplay. Some of the worst. I like that it was free, that they gave you free multiplayer, and at the time it would have been nice, but I think it's just to get the platinum, it's really to get all the trophies, it's really unbearable. So, but also that means it's like when you get the trophy, it's like that sense of achievement. Like, I am
I don't know. Grindy trophies. I don't know. They grind on me. But yeah, no. Grindy grindy trophy. I don't know. I don't like grinding at all.
No,
like if it's, I prefer leveling up, like in doing side missions, or getting to a trophy whilst doing other things instead of having to do the same thing over and over and over again. The thing with Devil May Cry is it's a fun game.
Oh yeah.
So Devil May Cry, I don't really mind going through like the difficulty levels, and also it's a stylish game, so you can like mix it however you want to mix it, and you can be really creative with a game like Resident Evil. I don't think it can be that creative. I mean, it's a shooter at the end of the day. So
yeah,
you got weapons and that's it.
I'm not disrespecting Devil May Cry at all. Like, I love Devil May Cry. Like, they are amazing games. I just think in terms of trophies, they're disgustingly hard. Like, Devil May Cry 5 probably got probably up there in the top, maybe top 3, if not the hardest platinum trophy you can get.
For sure.
Like, finish the game on the hardest difficulty without getting hit.
Yeah.
Like, what on earth? Like,
I did think of getting the platinum, but then after I think I got to like the 4th difficulty. The thing is, it depends on the Devil May Cry. I platinum DMC Devil May Cry twice. I did it on the PS3 and on the PS4. The thing is, with that one, you had to do the Triple S rank, but only on Nephilim difficulty, which was like hard.
Mm-hmm.
So on this one, they like really amped up the level because you have to play on. You have to do like the Triple S rank on the hardest difficulty, and the hardest difficulty in Devil May Cry is enemies have a stupid amount of health, and if you get hit once, you're dead. It's
some sort of sick joke. Like, they were obviously like sitting in that massive corporate tower, thinking like, how could we make this game the hardest game of all time? And like, let's make it so like you're going to do the hardest difficulty without getting hit. And they're like, excellent. I imagine that's how the conversation went.
It's a hard game in general. So even the easier difficulties aren't that easy when you get to like the higher levels, and the bosses are stupidly OP.
Yeah.
Like, especially, I don't want to give spoilers, but especially the main boss of the game, when you actually face him in a real boss fight, like you're meant to, he's just OP as hell. Like, he's really, really hard. Like, I can't imagine trying to fight that dude without getting hit. Like, you literally have to replay the game way more than the times that you think you have to in order to platinum the game. Like, you have to replay literal levels over and over and over and over again until you get the perfect. You have to memorize every boss's attacks. You have to memorize every enemy's attacks, like every little runt's attacks, and you have to memorize every single combo so you can raise your stylish meter to like as high as you can. Mm-hmm. It's a stupid amount of dedication.
There's a lot of going on. Yeah, you probably play levels thousands of times. Thousands of times.
For sure. And also, depending on your skill level, like if you're a person who, like me, you take a while to build up your skill, you don't just pick things up like that, then it's going to take you hours and hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, I am in agreement with that. I am the same. I'm a bit slow at everything in my life, to be honest with you, with everybody watching. But in particular, gaming, it takes me a while to get the grasp of new mechanics. And I'll finally get them. I think that's why I'm so afraid to play like Soulsborne, because I know like I'll struggle so much. The first 20 hours will just be like the worst time ever. So like, that's.
But for a lot of people, it's just the one section though. Like for me, it was. I struggled a lot in the beginning, and then it got to a point where it just clicked, and you don't even notice it clicking. You get to a point where you start finding it not easy, but you start finding the game easier, or you start understanding the game more, so you can like adapt your play style.
Yeah. Oh.
So that's the beauty of the Souls games, though. When you do get to that point, that's when you want to play more.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, they give up too early because they don't give it a chance. They just keep dying and dying and dying and dying, and they think, oh, I'm stuck, I'm never going to do this, and they stop playing. When in reality is, the more you die, it's like anything in life. The more you do something, the more you're going to learn. So the more you fail, the less likely you are to fail next time.
Life lesson. What does Thomas Wayne say in The Dark Knight? No, The Dark Knight Batman Begins. He says, "Why do we fall? So we can get back up." I hope you feel motivated to seize the day now after hearing that. I don't, but you know. On that sort of eggshell. That doesn't make sense. That's me trying to move the conversation forward poorly.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to our first trophy topic of the day. So we've got 2 topics, which are very intertwined. We're going to talk about our first ever Platinum Trophy, and we're going to talk about our 50th Platinum Trophy. So, Joel, I'll let you begin. What was your first ever Platinum Trophy?
Okay. So, first ever, was Assassin's Creed 2, but it was on my old account. So, I had another account before I did this one, and it was just full of unfinished games, and I was ashamed of it, so I thought
That's fair. I would be too. I'd be ashamed if I was you.
It was very light. There was a lot of 1% and 3%, and
classic.
That's not the life I want.
No.
That was the first ever one.
So what about on this account?
On this one, it was Dragon Ball Z Budokai HD Collection. If you guys don't know what that is, it was on the PS2. Yeah, on the PS2, and it was Budokai 1 and Budokai 3, and they kind of remastered it into one game for the PS3. And so that was my first ever platinum on this account.
Did you ever watch the live action Dragon Ball? It came out about 10 years ago.
I don't want to talk about that.
It was so bad.
That was It was shameful. Nobody wants to talk about that.
I want to talk about it because it's funny.
Okay.
No, I don't. To be fair, I want to talk about my first platinum trophy now. So my first, I've got props again. I've got a game here. My first platinum trophy. Bear in mind, I only started. I was Xbox until 2017. Shame, I know.
Shame.
So I transitioned quite late on, which is why I've got so many backlogs of games, just endless amounts of games sitting in my shelves. But my first game I platinumed, which I'm quite proud of, and I really enjoyed it, what is Infamous Second Son.
That's a really good game.
I really enjoyed this game. It was such a good... I love superheroes anyway. Troy Baker's in it. I mean, Troy Baker's in everything, to be fair, but he was pretty good in it with what he had. Great combat, great open world. For its time, it just was just spawn, and the trophy list is, it's 30 hours, two playthroughs, enjoyable. Don't have much more to say on it, to be honest.
I agree.
Just an awesome game, and you should play it if you haven't played it already.
You definitely should.
And if anything, it's perfectly timed because the people who made this game are Sucker Punch, who also made Ghost of Tsushima. So if you like Ghost of Tsushima and you've been playing it now and you want to return to a game by the same developer, then there's your game. Infamous Second Son.
One thing I have to really, really praise Sucker Punch in is the graphics. Even with Second Son, for the time it came out, which was the beginning of the PS4's lifetime, the graphics were just amazing.
Yeah, they were. And
I've seen from videos now of Ghost of Tsushima, those graphics are just wow.
Yeah, they're very
I can see just the normal first generation PlayStation 4s really lifting off trying to run Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh my, imagine.
The noise.
My PlayStation 4 Pro sounds like it's going to explode when I have Red Dead Redemption 2 in. It sounds like it's preparing to take off. Turbines and airplanes. So a PlayStation 4 on Ghost of Tsushima, they might catch fire. To be fair, who knows?
But just mad props to them for. Just the world they build, or the worlds they build, have just been always been really, really good. Even the first Infamous, with that post-apocalyptic thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
For the PS3, it was great. It was the graphics were just really, really good.
Yeah, I agree.
So they really know what they're doing. I'm really excited to try.
There mustn't be a massive studio because I don't think they've done. Have they even released a game since Infamous, or have they just been working on Ghost of Tsushima basically for the past 4 or 5 years?
I think so. I think Ghost of Tsushima actually had we'll probably say this for later on, but I think they had a bunch of issues and they kind of cancelled for a little bit.
Oh, right.
I think. I don't want to say for sure because I'm not entirely sure, but I think
that rings a bell. But we'll move on from that because we're going to do it. That's one of our topics for later on, guys. So we'll talk about it later on. There'll be timestamps in these videos, by the way. If you want to just jump between things, feel free. So our second topic is going to be our 50th Platinum Trophy. Trophy. So, Joel, what is your 50th Platinum Trophy?
50th Platinum Trophy is Detroit Become Human. Pretty easy, pretty standard. Still a good game, but it's a very easy one. It's not, the most proudest. So Detroit Become Human, which it's like a posh Telltale game.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe if you want to put it specifically, it's still a good game. I'd still recommend you guys play it because the story is good and the story kind of does make you think in the direction we're going with all this technology. But yeah, it's you have to do multiple playthroughs. If you don't use the guide, you have to do even more multiple playthroughs, which was my case. I played the game blindly the first playthrough, and then I went back and did everything that I needed to do to get the trophies.
I mean, I think that is the best way to play a game. I think you should always go in blind and play it for the game it is first and really appreciate it. And then when you want to go back and collect trophies, you take that steps back. I think it's a good game. When I pick my milestones, so like I will have a game in mind. Like if a game's gonna be my 50th, I will like save a game for it. Are you the same, or did you literally just whatever trophy you do it in any random order?
I think maybe now I probably am.
Mm-hmm.
Whilst back then, so now I'm at that point now where I've always been like that. I platinum every game that I play, but I post my platinums now and I share them with social media and stuff. So I have to I think at this time I'll probably will start doing that, like plan ahead. Like if I'm close to platinum a game, I'll maybe leave it. Like I usually the way I do it is I usually try and do as many trophies as possible and then enjoy the story.
Yeah.
If I can. So I'll probably like leave that one until I reach like, let's say the 100 platinum milestone. I'll probably save it for like a big input.
It's an important game.
Important game, exactly. But back then I wasn't. Back then I was just platinuming whatever I could.
Yeah.
I was competing with a friend of mine, actually. So at that point in time, I was probably just trying to rack up as many as possible. So I didn't really think about it. Luckily for me, Detroit Become Human is a good game. So it's a pretty good 50th milestone.
I agree. Well,
did you plan ahead then?
I did. My 100th platinum, just to clarify, was Dragon Quest 11. So there's not much going on my screen, but there's kind of an obvious hint as to what my 50th platinum was. I'm quite a big fan of Spider-Man, this guy. So that's why I have the special edition of Spider-Man.
Oh my god, I hate you.
Yeah. And this is my 50th platinum trophy was Spider-Man. So I got this like postcards. It wasn't actually the best special edition. You get a little art book, to be fair. I'm not a big fan of, to be honest, I never buy the really expensive collector's editions. Maybe someday, but I feel like sometimes like £160, I could buy 3 games for that. So this was only like £10 more to get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spider-Man was my 50th platinum trophy. Spider-Man's probably one of my favourite games of all time. However, I'm very biased because Spider-Man's like my favourite fictional character of all time. Like I've got all these games, I've always played these games. Like, I always like love the movies and things like that. So he needed a milestone, and I feel like that's why he got the 50. But also, it is an amazing game. Like you don't need to like Spider-Man to appreciate how good that game is.
Oh, for sure.
So if you haven't played that, everyone's played Spider-Man. If you're watching this, you're watching the PlayStation podcast, you played Spider-Man. We can all agree how great the game is and why it deserves a milestone on your trophy list. I think it does anyway.
Absolutely. Insomniac did what a lot of developers tried doing ever since Spider-Man 2 and the PS2. Let's all be honest.
Yeah.
The swinging was never there.
Oh, I agree.
I think maybe... I don't think anybody ever came close to the swinging in Spider-Man 2. Like, even if you play Spider-Man 2 now, yes, it's aged and the graphics are awful and the dialogue is just bad. But
still got Tobey Maguire
the swinging is still... Sorry?
Still got Tobey Maguire in, though. We all love Tobey. So
exactly. And the swinging is still enjoyable, even on the PS2.
So I would like to chime in with that, because as someone who's played every Spider-Man game from like 2005, there's a few games of note that I think there's two games that actually do improve on Spider-Man 2, which people forget about. Firstly is Ultimate Spider-Man for the PlayStation 2. Like, that game was pretty awesome. It was like a cartoon style game, and the swinging's pretty good. It's on par with Spider-Man 2. It came out about 8 months later, or maybe a year after, 2 years after, and it's on par. And then going on to PlayStation 3, there was loads of there's loads of linear Spider-Man games that came out because basically they couldn't compete with it. They couldn't replicate the world. But Spider-Man Web of Shadows came out for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and that game is awesome. That game is probably the second best Spider-Man game behind Insomniac Spider-Man now. Everything else, so Amazing Spider-Man 1, Amazing Spider-Man 2, are just trash. Horrible, rubbish games, terrible web mechanics. But Web of Shadows for me it was the best Spider-Man game. Now it's the second best game now, only because Insomniac had just come in and just delivered this masterpiece.
Mm.
So yeah, get
The
one
Ultimate Spider-Man, that's the
game
one
to play Web of Shadows.
That's the one so the Ultimate Spider-Man, that's the one you play with Venom as well.
Yeah, Venom's a playable character.
And you eat people.
Yes.
I think I played like a demo.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It rings a bell, but I don't think I played the whole thing. I think I just played like a demo, or I played like at a friend's house at the time.
It's really good. And as well, on Web of Shadows, you can turn the symbiote on by a click of a button. So you can be like mid-web swing, jump up, do a backflip and change into the symbiote or change back. And the symbiote had different fighting styles. So basically, at all times, you had 2 fighting styles of Spider-Man. It was really, really well thought out, and it had like a really acrobatic system that like the Spider-Man now has, when he like jumps up and web zips on enemies and stuff. They were doing that in 2008. Like they did really well. I don't know who made that game, to be honest, but it was awesome.
I was about to ask that.
Really awesome game.
Yeah,
play it, guys. It's really expensive though. It's like £20 for a 15-year-old game. So that's why I haven't got it. It's on my list though, but never mind.
You do go back and get the oldies.
I do love the oldies. I've been collecting a few PlayStation 3 games. Like games I didn't play.
Yeah.
And I want to. I'm going to do a video actually about them, talk about them. All right, let's move on, guys. Get your school ties on. All right, put your blazers on. Because it's lesson time with Joel. All right.
Hey.
I'm not going to be ashamed to admit Joel is definitely a better gamer than me. Going off the games he's played, he's definitely better than me. So Joel's going to give you a little lesson, if you will. Just to sit down, get your notepads ready. He's going to tell you how to platinum a game. So today's game is Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. So Joel, if you could advise us on the best ways, or some tips on how to beat the game and get the platinum trophy, we all want to know.
Okay, so I think the first tip is, like Dark Souls, I think the first tip is give it time, because you're gonna. I don't think you're gonna struggle to get the mechanics, but they're not the easiest to grasp when you first start the game. It seems simple on paper, which is just, attack and deflect, but it's a bit more than that. You need like the right timing, and then later on you get different things that enemies do, like the swipe, which is an unparryable attack, which is you have to jump over it, and you have to jump on the head ideally, and if you jump on the head, the posture goes up. And the Makiri counter. The Makiri counter was actually the skill that I took the longest to master because I was doing it wrong.
Okay.
So the Makiri counter is when an enemy thrusts, you step on their weapon, whether it be a spear or a sword, whatever it is. Again, it's an unblockable attack, so you have to either dodge, which I don't recommend because half the time it will get you. So you have to do the Makiri counter. And I was just pressing circle to do it. And I was trying to get the timing right, and 9 times out of 10, I was always getting hit because the window is so small. So for the Makiri counter, for you guys who don't know, if you if you go forward, if you press forward at the same time as you're pressing circle, that parry window becomes huge. So the whole movement from when you start to step forward until you are pretty much in the face of the enemy, that whole window will be a parry window. I think that's what a lot of people, maybe when they're starting out, don't realize, is because, like I was doing, you just sit there and you wait for the attack to come so you can counter it. When if you step forward, your window becomes huge, so it's a lot easier to do. So
Sekiro, it's a very unique game. There's no debate there. There's probably not a game like it, and my understanding is, obviously I've limited understanding. I'm the learner here, the student. Okay. It's all about posture, isn't it? It's not about health bars.
Yeah,
it's all about breaking posture.
Yeah. So posture raises when it goes both ways. You have a posture bar, your enemy has a posture bar. Obviously, like every game, your posture bar is a lot smaller than your enemy's posture bar, especially bosses.
Yeah, of course.
So the posture is you raise the posture bar by parrying their attacks, attacking them, or using the skills like the Makiri counter, or jumping on their heads when you jump over a swipe. So all of that raises their posture bar. And the thing with the posture bar is, when you break their posture, so when you raise that posture bar to the maximum, it doesn't matter how much health the enemy has. They could have a full bar or they could have a sliver. They will always lose a health bar.
That was me saying one shot kill. or one.
I thought you were like in a classroom, like asking to
Sir.
to say something.
No, to be fair, no. I was trying to just like add some sort of like live action to like enforce what you were trying to say. But now also,
yeah.
I do have a question though.
Okay.
Now this might be quite hard for you to answer because I don't know how well you prepared. But is there missable trophies in this game that players need to know about?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. When you get to a certain point in the story, you're gonna have like a pretty critical choice. So it's hard to say without spoiling.
Okay.
So there's going to be a part in the game where a choice is either going to end your game there or let you carry on further.
Okay.
So there's four endings to Sekiro.
Right. Okay.
But to get the platinum, you have to at least do 2. Because different bosses are tied to different endings.
Right.
So if you do the longer ending, so there's 1 short ending and then there's 3 long endings. The thing is with the long endings, if you plan ahead, you need to get all the specific items, and then you can what people call scum save. You can scum save just before the last boss, and then you could just proceed differently to get the 3 endings. The shorter ending is tied to 2 bosses. So there's a trophy there that's called Kill All Bosses. So you have to do all the bosses in the game. So you could either do the short ending first, which is what I did. I don't recommend it because in New Game Plus, the enemies hit a lot harder. So I'd recommend you do like the long run first, do those 3 endings, and then go and do the other ending in New Game Plus.
Fair enough. It's quite understandable. Seems like quite a long game now. How long will it take to platinum? If your average skill, how long would you say?
I'd say not as long as you think. I'd say about maybe 60, 70 hours.
70 hours.
If your average skill, because the first playthrough, if you're going to do the first playthrough as like collecting everything to get those endings, you're not really going to need to do much on your other playthroughs. You could just rush through the game.
Oh, okay.
So like you don't need to fight all the mini bosses anymore, because every mini boss you kill, you get a prayer bead. Every 4 prayer beads, that increases your health.
Right. Okay.
So once you do all the mini bosses in one run, your health won't go up anymore. So you don't need to do them again. So you can skip a lot of stuff by just
run straight past them.
Just running, get to the main bosses, kill the main bosses. That's it. And because you already know the main boss's mechanics because of the first run, they're probably not going to give you that much trouble. Maybe 1 or 2 here and there. There are some that are quite challenging. But as a whole, if you do a first playthrough, you're probably not going to struggle much on New Game Plus.
Fair enough. I always like how, like, on certain games when, like, you know, boss rocks up and he, like, slams his sword down and it's like a bit of a cinematic and he's ready for a serious duel and you just go, bye. Run straight past him. climb up a tree or something, just jump on the next part of the level. And it's just like...
You can do that with pretty much... I'd say pretty much all mini bosses you could do that. Maybe except 1 or 2, which you have to do for like tutorial reasons.
Okay.
But most mini bosses you can do that. You could just fly through them. The other thing I will say is I would recommend you do 4 playthroughs, just for the fact that one of the trophies is you have to get all the skills in the game. Now skills, you have to get skills by getting XP like most games, but the higher your New Game Plus, the more skill points you're going to get, so the easier you're going to get to that threshold. The mistake I did was I did it in like 3 playthroughs, so I had to grind for like 7 hours to get the last few skills because you need quite a bit of skill points. So I'd recommend you play the game multiple times or as many times as you want in order to get those skills, because the higher your New Game Plus, the higher your points, the higher the skill points you're going to get.
Fair enough. That sounds like I do want to play Sekiro, which is why we always end up talking about it at some point. This seems to be like a theme to talk about Sekiro or talk about The Witcher. And so I am very tempted to play it. If you guys want to watch Joel play it, you can watch it. He's got a few videos on his YouTube. He's pretty good. You get some good tips. That's like I've actually been watching them and I've been sort of been like, okay, it makes it look easier than what it probably is. But it's been making me want to play the game, to be fair. So I feel like that wraps up Lesson Time with Joel. I feel like I've learned some things, you know. 4 playthroughs. It's all about breaking posture. Yeah, they're the key things, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, let's move on to our gaming topics of the week. We've got 3 topics. So this is probably going to be the biggest one that we've both been already talking about so far. We couldn't help ourselves talking about it, which is Ghost of Tsushima. Neither of us have played it yet. We'll just say that. It came out on Friday, it being Sunday today, so only 2 days ago. And it's been received amazingly well. I think it could be Game of the Year.
I think so. I think it's up there.
I think,
sure.
Sucker Punch have done what I've seen. I was just telling Joel, I'm going to repeat it for you, Joel, just so everyone else who's watching can listen. I've watched about 2 to 3 hours of reviews for this game now, to the point where I could have just went and picked up the game and played it. And every review I've watched, on a whole, they've all said positive. Like, maybe a few little things here and there, but on a whole, and maybe 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Not like, Last of Us, which was, it's good, this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad, or, there's no controversy. Everyone's in agreement that this game is incredible.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, it's got this, the combat is, it's been compared to a really easy Soulsborne with plenty of differences, but that's how a lot of people have compared it. Great combat. Apparently it's like some of the best combat out there.
Yeah, I can see like the timing and the risk reward thing. From what I've seen, there's like the standoffs, which is you press triangle and then at the right time you release triangle and you can pretty much one-shot the enemy. The thing is, if you miss that, then you're probably going to get one-shot, or you're going to be really, really like low health. Yeah, like the risk reward kind of thing. I can understand. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because it looks stylish as well. Like, imagine if you get the right timings and you got like a mob of 5 dudes and you just slice them all down with just the one swing of a sword each time. How badass that! And then with a swipe of your controller, you could just wipe the blood off your sword.
I didn't know you could do that. Oh my god!
You can even pray. You can even pray like over the corpses after you've killed them. Like, out of respect. It's just such a wholesome game. There's no, like, from what I've seen, there's no navigation. Like, the wind and the animals, they all like guide you to your way. It's just so much attention to detail. Yeah. And for anybody, which most people do, anybody who likes samurais and ninjas and just Japanese culture in general, it's just...
Looks, I agree. Like, I'm probably gonna have to buy it at some point this week. I don't think I can hold off.
I definitely will.
I
definitely will.
What I love about this game, I think, after looking at it, is this is very specific to me, to be honest. As I'm getting a bit older and I've played a lot more games, I really enjoy a simple screen with like next to no HUD. Like, I don't really want to see like my health bar, like the time of day, how all the auto saves, all the maps, and Ghost of Tsushima, on its most basic form, is basically there's not even a waypoint, because the wind guides you to the levels, and it looks so simplistic and just so immersive. Whereas a lot of games, like for example Valhalla, is so there's like 50 things on the screen at once, everything's floating around, numbers, all sorts. It takes you out of the experience. Whereas Ghost of Tsushima looks like the opposite. It looks like it's probably one of the most immersive games ever made.
It reminds me a bit like God of War, like the layout. So God of War is kind of like that. You don't really see much on the screen apart from the gameplay, unless you start fighting someone, or which is pretty normal. I mean, personally, I like seeing my health bar if I'm fighting an enemy, because you want to know if you're close to death or not. But and the option that goes to Tsushima of like doing the grayscale. Yeah. So you can change that. You can play the whole game as like an old Japanese movie. Yeah. Which is just incredible.
Apparently, it's actually not that good, because they've said...
Oh, really?
The game looks so vibrant and sounds so amazing that if you go in the black and white, it takes away from it. It takes away from half the experience. So I feel like you'd have to play the whole game, appreciate the colours, everything that's going on, and then play it the second time in that sort of black and white to really get stuck in the movie. Because I think the cinematics and stuff would be awesome in black and white. But again, it's like this whole thing where it's like, when you think of Japan, you always think of like these vibrant trees, the pink blossom flowers and stuff. But to take that away, it's sort of like, well, you're taking away a part of the game. But it's awesome that it's there.
I think they did that. It was in like a memory of someone. I think it was like either a film producer or an actor or something, and they did that in like his memory.
Wow.
because he did like so many. I think he was like one of either the biggest producers in Japan. People are probably going to like say, "Oh, shut the hell up, don't know what I'm talking about." But I didn't research. Okay,
that's this whole podcast, so don't worry.
I didn't research. All right, give me a break, Jesus.
We all just speculate.
So it's so yeah, apparently it's like it's a producer from Japan who really like blew up the Japanese cinema when it comes to like samurais and films and stuff like that. So I think that was like a memory of him. So a lot of like the sound is going to sound really old, and like it's going to be quite grainy because it's obviously grayscale and everything. And I think the cinematics change a little bit as well to like more of a movie thing.
Yes.
Which then also takes me to photo mode.
Yes. Oh, wow.
And photo mode looks so complete in this game.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
I agree. It looks awesome. Like, to be fair, the only game I've really used photo mode endlessly was Spider-Man, because I thought that game worked so well, and I think Ghost of Tsushima is going to be the same because it just looks incredible. Like, I think in The Last of Us Part 2, I know I keep talking about it all the time, but the photo mode's not that good in it because like everything's so blurry all the time. Like, the game looks beautiful, but when you really pause it and stuff, it actually just highlights that some of the character models are slightly off, especially with Joel. Joel's character model's not that good. So, whereas Ghost of Tsushima, everything looks just perfect. Like, just so detailed. And apparently, someone was saying that, one of the reviewers I was watching was saying that he shot a bow and arrow at two people. So, two people were charging at him. And he shot a bow and arrow at one person's face and he fell down. And the other character was running and turned and looked at his friend and then turned back and kept running. Like,
really?
Like, he acknowledged that other person has been shot in the face with a bow and arrow. Like, how much detail is in that? That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's just...
And tiny details like that is what gets you immersed in the game.
Yeah.
It's what tricks your brain into thinking, like, for that split second, it's real.
Yeah. And I'm all about immersion now. As I'm getting older,
for sure.
For me, it's the biggest thing. Honestly, like, you know, your tastes change as you age. Like, you know, we're not particularly old. We're both in our 20s, but like, I feel like as I'm getting more mature, I want that immersion above everything else. I want to forget about everything else in the world and just have the headphones in and just think like I'm actually there doing something. I hate it when immersion is broken. Like, you can have a good immersion.
Unpopular opinion.
Like, you can have immersion and have a pause screen. You know, you can have all these things, but these little things that all add up and add up and add up and add up until you think it's actually real.
Yeah.
And to be fair,
unpopular opinion, I think Death Stranding does that well. Although it's not a game for everybody. In the immersion side of things, like the soundtrack when you're walking, yes, it is a walking simulator. You're going to do a lot of walking. But when you're walking and you're going towards your destination or whatever, and you just look at the scenery, and then the soundtrack they used, the Low Roar is the name of the band. If you guys don't know who they are, you should definitely check them out. They are really, really good with like ambient soundtracks. They're really calm. There's like a very peaceful sound to their music. They're really, really good. Like, before Death Stranding, I'd never heard of who they were or any of their music, but just everything together just makes you feel like you're there. Especially if you have like headphones on, and let's say you have a huge TV where, you know, you can't really see like the sides of your living room or whatever. Then you really feel like you're there, and it's what a lot of games they aim to do, but they can't get that threshold most of the time.
I agree.
Like Valhalla. Valhalla, I don't think it's going to be a game that will immerse you that much.
No.
Doesn't make it a bad game
by
any means, but it's just a different type of game. I think it's what separates maybe the RPGs from maybe story-driven games. But then in the same breath, we'll go back to The Witcher 3, and that kind of had everything.
Yeah, I did. It's just... You're right, it's like what I think every game should strive for, and a lot of games just can't deliver on it. But, you know, sometimes it's not... Sometimes it's the genre they choose to be in, sometimes it's the mechanics they choose, and sometimes it is on their part. I think it's hard to sort of... You can't expect every game to be that immersive, but yeah, I do think Death Stranding, although I haven't played it, I've seen plenty of footage on it and stuff, and I think I won't bad talk that game. Like, I hadn't had anything spoiled for me, so not that I would care, to be fair, but it's a very slow game. Yeah.
Prepare to like be willing to like dive or be willing to sacrifice a lot of hours into that game. Like a lot of hours.
That's just how I roll, to be fair. I feel like as a platinum trophy hunter, you just do that. You go in with a mindset for that for like every game.
That's true.
Like a game that takes someone 10 hours to finish, but it's like a 50-hour platinum trophy. Like it just you sort of going with the mindset of, here we go.
Here we go again.
Here we go again. Here we go again.
I know. With a lot of them, it is like that. I mean, I think Platinum Hunters backlogs are a lot bigger than everybody else's because you play the game and then you have to do all these extras, which is going to take away the time that you could have given to another game.
I agree, but on the same spin of that, that's 100% right. But I find, like, for example, like reviewers and stuff on YouTube and stuff, they'll only play the game once and they'll do a review. So, like, for example, say what games have just come out. For example, let's just say Last of Us Part 1, Part 2. It's a 25-hour game. Okay, so that's quite long. But, people play it once and they'll say, okay, it's a 25-hour game. That's it. I'm done with that game now. Whereas if you wanted a platinum trophy, you'd have to play it twice, and that's like 50 hours, and you get so much more from the game because not only are you playing it twice and experiencing it twice, like you're watching the story again. You're looking for all these hidden things and like the hidden messages in games, all the collectibles that have all this information that give loads of insight into the plot line, the world. So I think actually completing games to their fullest actually provides so much more content if it's like a half decent game. It doesn't have to be an amazing game. Yeah, if a game's rubbish, then the platinum trophy is probably going to be rubbish as well. But if it's a great game, it extends the life of these great games. Like, for example, Witcher 3, like, you could finish that game in 120 hours, but if you go for the platinum, it's probably going to be 250 to 300 hours. And it's just more of Witcher. Like, you can't have too much of The Witcher 3. That's what I think, anyway.
I think The Witcher 3, what makes the platinum hard is all the missables. And the thing is, the missables, you have to... So, like, you have to really plan ahead.
Yeah.
Like, I played The Witcher twice, but only because the first time I'd never played a Witcher game before, and a friend of mine lent it to me, so I just played the story. And then the second time I bought the Game of the Year edition, and then I thought, okay, I'm going to go for the platinum. And you have to really plan ahead. So you have to... Because a lot of the missable trophies, you have to be careful in the beginning of the game. So there's a trophy that you have to have all your allies for... one of the battles. I don't know who's played The Witcher or not, so I don't want to spoil anything. But one of the battles, you need to have all your allies. And if you mess up with one of those allies early on, or even two of those allies early on, they die. And so you miss that trophy. Although it's like 20 hours.
Yeah, it's true.
Into the game from that point.
I was like,
so I think if you just have to plan ahead.
Yeah,
I
you
think
do.
Is the main thing.
Well, on that, I just want to say that some YouTuber, I can't remember his name, but he's actually done like a complete platinum guide for The Witcher 3, and it's a 6.5-hour video on YouTube.
Wow.
And basically, I haven't watched all of it because, wow, you'd be a maniac to watch a 7-hour video if you're not planning on getting the platinum trophy or playing alongside.
Yeah.
But he's made this video, which basically you can play along the game alongside this video, and if you play along with it, you can get the platinum like in one playthrough on the hardest difficulty. And I think, props to him for doing it.
That's definitely possible.
I'm probably going to put the link to that video down below because I feel like he deserves credit. Because if someone spent the time to make a 6.5-hour video to help you get a platinum trophy, they deserve a bit of credit. So I'll put that in the link below. I'll find it and put it in because not everyone's going to. A lot of people who want the platinum for Witcher now will have it, but I think it's such a good video. Like the amount of commitment.
I'll want to have a look. I'll want to have a look because I want to see if, especially I want to see if there's like any shortcuts that I should have taken or that I could have taken to get there. But it's a really good idea to do that. I mean, it's very time consuming to do it, but
I probably take them months, 6 months to make.
Yeah. Well, he would have had to play the whole game for a start. Yeah. He would have had to plan his gameplay ahead and then make sure he's putting in the right content and the right dialogue for you to not mess up.
Yeah.
Because it's not just one missable trophy. There's like 4 or 5.
I'm going to find it quickly because I think I've got it saved.
Yes. Jeez. Maybe I should do that. No, I'm only joking.
Do what? Make a 6-hour video?
Yeah, do like a whole platinum guide. I don't know. I usually do things quite blindly first, and then
I found it. It's the YouTuber's called Bushido Cypher. He is a trophy hunter. He is like a trophy hunter. He does trophy guides. So you may already know who he is actually. 6 hours, 24 minutes, and 59 seconds. Like wow. The link for that will be in the description below. We'll just give this guy who doesn't even know who we are a free shout out. So never mind.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, fair play to him.
Yeah, definitely. He deserves some credit for making that video.
For sure.
Okay, we went off topic here. We're not even talking about Ghost of Tsushima anymore. Again, surprisingly, Joel, we're talking about The Witcher again.
Yeah. It just always comes back to it. It always comes back to it.
Okay, let's move on. So, we're now going to talk about the next gaming topic. So, we're going to talk about Ubisoft, however you want to call them, they had a live release this week or the week before, and they basically showed footage for Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Watchdogs Legion. So, we're going to talk about both those games. I was like sort of in the middle about one of them. I sort of expected it, and then the other game I was really excited about. So I was surprised at how good it looks. So let's talk about Valhalla first. What were your impressions, Joel, when you saw the footage release and stuff?
I think Vikings is always a winner.
Yeah, it is.
I think Vikings, everybody, if you don't like Vikings, you kind of, I don't know, it's just Vikings is something that's really, you really want to see more of. It's a bit like samurais,
yeah,
I think.
I agree.
It's two cultures that are really good to explore a bit, especially with all the the gods and everything and the beliefs. So I think that's always a winner.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, go on.
No, go on.
I was going to say, like, I'm from the north of England, so part of my heritage is the Vikings. The Vikings first raided England and they first raided Lindisfarne, so the monastery, and that is probably like 30 miles from where I live. So like, it's part of like actually being up here is part of the Vikings. So that's one of the reasons why I like them. But also, like, I love the TV show Vikings. I agree the culture is really interesting, and I think it was a really smart choice by Ubisoft to make this world. And I think it looks good. Like, I think the world they've made looks really good. It looks different to Origins and Odyssey, whereas Odyssey and Origins, they had a lot of similarities, like in that Greek mythology and their designs, whereas Valhalla is different. It's a different world completely. It's different. They've got settlements. They've got like the boat systems different. They've got like they've got a lot of pros, and a lot of what is different in this game is going to be great. However,
I've got high hopes. I think Odyssey was very copy paste from not Origins. Odyssey was very copy paste from Origins.
Yeah, I agree.
Luckily for me, I played both games in pretty much a year apart, so it wasn't too bad. But if you're going to play Origins and then you're going to play Odyssey right after, you're going to burn out real fast. Yeah. Origins, for a start, is massive, like very, very massive, and then Odyssey is even bigger. So they're just very, very big and long games.
Yeah, I think if you like Origins and you like Odyssey, you are going to love Valhalla. If you thought they were like maybe not for you or okay games, but with a lot of flaws, then Valhalla's going to have the same. You're going to have the same opinion of those, and I think a Viking world can only mask that so much. And ultimately, if you don't like those games, you're going to struggle to like this one as well. I think it doesn't look. It doesn't. Firstly, it doesn't look next gen. I know it's not going. It's coming out for this gen, and then it's going to. I understand it's going to get a free upgrade for the next gen.
Like
it looks like it was made in 2018, if you ask me. I think it doesn't look like... If you're looking at Ghost of Tsushima, you're looking at Last of Us Part 2. These are games with similar budgets or similar money. Like, the companies are worth similar amounts. It doesn't compare to those games in looking. I know it's an open world, so it's a little bit different, but the character models look a bit sloppy. And the open world... But the open world looks pretty decent. I just don't think it looks like a 2020 game. And again, it's saying what we're talking about before with immersion. There's so much going on the screen. You've got like your health bars, you've got all this other stuff on the top left, you've got like all your little combos on the bottom, you've got all these numbers flying everywhere, you've got health bars everywhere, and it's just, for me, it breaks the immersion. So if I play it, I'll be taking them off. I'll be taking all the HUD off and stuff.
It's Ubisoft at the end of the day. Like, Ubisoft, one of the things that they do, and they always do it, and I think they always will do it because their games still sell, is a lot of copy paste. Yeah. So all the Assassin's Creeds, the old Assassin's Creed, pretty much look the same.
They did, yeah.
Then they changed it up with Origins. It was a very, very good breath of fresh air. But then Odyssey came out, and now Valhalla's coming out, and they look pretty much the same. Far Cry's pretty much always look the same. Watchdogs has pretty much always looked the same, and it looks like the Watchdogs Legions is going to look a little bit like Watchdogs 2. I think it's just Ubisoft. The Division, it was pretty much a copy paste from the first one. Yeah. Instead of having snow, you had a lot of grass.
I think
it's just Ubisoft.
It's so much cheaper to make a sequel with the same stuff as the first game as make a new one. This is why, like, for example, Insomniac have been able to bring out this Spider-Man 1.5 so quickly because they've got all the stuff ready set. Whereas making a new Spider-Man game from scratch would be a lot harder. And you're right to say Ubisoft they've got the formula, they've changed it because we demanded they change it. Remember, if Syndicate hadn't done so poorly and people hadn't kicked off about it, they'd still be making the similar games now. So the consumer said, look, enough is enough. We're sick of playing the same game every year. They then changed it, and then they're doing the same thing again, slightly differently. So hopefully, this might be the last. I don't know. If Valhalla has received really well, they'll probably just do another one, a similar one going forward.
Well, I still think they've got. I still think they've got like a Japanese in there somewhere.
Well,
that they're going to plan.
Hopefully, Ghost of Tsushima will scare them off that. Because they'll not be able to make a game as good as Ghost of Tsushima. So if they do that,
I think they may have done the Vikings because of that.
Yeah, potentially.
And then when the samurai scene starts dying down a bit, they'll bring it back up. Yeah. I mean, they don't have to do samurais; they could do ninjas.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
The assassins could probably be ninjas.
That's very valid.
But the thing is, though, the games will always sell. They're that big. Like even if you're not a huge fan of Assassin's Creed, I'm not a huge fan of Assassin's Creed, but I like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I will most probably buy it.
Yeah, I agree.
will most probably get it. Same with Watchdogs. Same with Far Cry. Not so much because I'm not really into FPSs. But if you're into that sort of game, you're most likely than not you're gonna buy it. It's the same as like people who play FIFA.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how bad that game is. You're still going to get it because because you want the updated version in order to carry on doing what you're doing with the last version. It's just the way it is.
I just want to say quickly, like we've been a little bit negative on Valhalla. I think some of the stuff, like the siege, what we saw of the siege, looked good, and how you can like take on different like the same level in different ways. I like that. Now I want to say I don't think I'm not saying it's going to be a bad game. I just think it's going to be more of the same in terms of Odyssey with maybe like 10% difference here and there. So if you love Odyssey, you'll love this game. If you're a bit skeptical, you sort of think Odyssey's a good game but not a great game, which is basically what I think. I think it's a good game but not a great game. I think Valhalla's going to be the same. Good game but not great.
Yeah. It's the thing of just on a final note, I think what people should do is they should under-promise and then over-deliver.
Yes.
And I think what Ubisoft does is they under-promise and they under-deliver as well, because you expect more. It's true, you expect more and you get the same just in a different setting with a different story and different characters. And then it was the reason they did so well with Origins is because it was completely different from all the other Assassin's Creeds before them. But now they're starting to get into that routine again where they're releasing the same game again just with a different setting. And I think it's just going to get boring fast. And they need to do something original. Just finish off the storyline. I don't even know what the hell the storyline is anymore. Yeah. Do you know what? Like we were starting to go forward, and now we're going backwards. It's like, what the hell is going on? Like what's the story with the real world? Like with the day to day of the characters. Like I think ever since Desmond died,
I've lost.
It's just they're clueless. Yeah. They just don't know what to do anymore.
I feel like it's because they want to get rid of it, but they can't because no one cares about it. Like the players don't like the Animus, they don't like it at all. But unfortunately, that is part of Assassin's Creed, so they have to keep it in. So they keep it as small as possible.
They just need to do another Desmond. They just need to have a character that you can relate to.
Yeah.
And I don't think they haven't got that.
I agree.
Ever since Desmond.
You know what I'd like to say as well on what you've just said there is that before going back to like different settings, it's basically like Assassin's Creed skins. Like they just take the same game and they just put a skin on it and they just sell you as a different game. And I feel like sometimes what they'll do is they'll just make a big empty game to sort of make you convince you that it's actually a full game. It's like, no, we've got like say 5 or 6 different game mechanics, but we're going to make you do each one 300 times so that you feel like you're playing a full game, but really you're doing the same stuff over and over and over again. Whereas like, you know, like again, Witcher, every side quest was different. So yeah, it was a big game, but you know, there's only maybe like 50 side quests, but each one was different. Whereas Assassin's Creed, there's 100 side quests, but they're all the same. They're all just different copies of the same 5 stories.
It's because they don't give the time in order to put the effort in. I mean, they want to release these games like before it was yearly. Assassin's Creed was yearly and it was repetitive, and now it's like every 2 years. But it's still 2 years. It's still not enough to make you have a huge impact. I mean, The Witcher took, 6-7 years to make? Something like that?
Well, I think they must have started Valhalla in maybe 2016. They must have given it like 4 years. They must have started like Origins in, say, 2013, 14, And they started obviously in like 2015 and Valhalla in 2016. They must have, because the big games, surely you can't turn these around in 2 years. But I don't know that much about the life cycle of a video game production.
I don't either. I'm just kind of like blurting out.
Yeah, just spit out just maybe stuff. Could be true, could be
just
not.
Nonsense.
Yeah, pretty much. That's this podcast. To be fair.
Until someone comes in the comments who actually knows what they're saying, like actually, and just like just gonna put us to shame. And then that'll be the last podcast.
To be fair, I want to move on to Watchdog Legions, the final topic of the podcast. I've got a lot more positive things to say about this. I was mildly impressed. Like, I thought Watchdogs, to be fair, for me, Ubisoft are the biggest company for pulling the wool over your eyes. I thought Division was a different game to what it was promised. It was an absolute flop, an absolute disgrace. It was not the game that I wanted at all. Watch Dogs was not as much to me because I didn't care as much, but again, it was a game that they promised the world and delivered next to nothing. Watch Dogs 2 was a lot better, I thought, personally. I enjoyed it more.
For sure.
Better gameplay mechanics, more open world, and better characters. So I was like, which way is it going to go? Is it going to go Watch Dogs 1 or Watch Dogs 2? I was impressed with Legion. I thought it looked interesting.
It's definitely interesting. I'll be honest, I've not seen much of Legions apart from like the first announcement where you can, they say you can play with pretty much anybody.
Yeah, you basically can. Like, you can go up to somebody and be like, oh, do you want to join my super secret cult? And they go, oh yeah, as long as you just go get me some flowers for my wife. Okay. Get some flowers, do you want to come join my cult? And then we'll go kill people. Let's do it. Obviously, that's the flaw in the game, but it's too hard to make it so that there's 1,000 playable characters and every character has like a secret, like like all these different missions and stuff and all this like this depth to it. Like I understand why they can't do that. It's accepting video game logic, isn't it? It's like you can't go somewhere because there's an invisible wall, but it's because you can't go there because they haven't built the level. It's video game logic.
Yeah.
So it's acceptable, but I like the idea that you can have like construction workers, police officers, old ladies. Yeah. Postmen, you can literally be anybody and do these levels however you want.
I think as long as they make the level design to cater to those things. I mean, like infiltrate a bank, and obviously you're going to choose recruit people that are police officers or bank workers, or to make it easier. As long as they do things like that, then it's going to be a really, really good game.
Yeah.
But if they just do like boring levels, which is just like, go in here and do this or go in there and fetch that, which I think a lot of Watch Dogs 2, although it was much better than the Watch Dogs 1, no doubt, I enjoyed Watch Dogs 2 a lot more than Watch Dogs 1. It did start getting to that repetitiveness.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And I hope Watch Dogs Legion is going to be as easy to platinum as it was for Watch Dogs 2. Because Watch Dogs 2 was one of those games where I did literally every miscellaneous trophy, like when I first started the game, and then I enjoyed the whole story without worrying.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I hope it is like that too, to be fair.
Yeah.
I think what I want to say is that this wasn't on the demo, but I've watched a few videos of people who have played the game, and they said that one of the levels was you had to go into a police station and like I think it was hack or do something to a police chief.
Yeah.
So you could go in as your main character, as anybody, or you could go in as a police officer. So if you go in as a police officer, you can just walk straight in.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense why you'd walk straight into the police station as a police officer though and just get your gun out and start shooting down all these other police officers, but that's sort of where it sort of falls apart. But then again, that's how you want to play the game. It gives you that choice. If you think, a police officer wouldn't walk into the police station with all his friends and start killing them all, then you don't do that. If you think, oh well, I'm going to make him do it, then you can, but you don't have to do it that way. So it's your interpretation. Like I found on Watch Dogs 2, it's a main character called Marcus. He is, isn't he?
I think so.
I think it's Marcus.
I think so. I've not played it in a while. But
He was like this hippie 20-year-old kid. There's no way you just start killing those police officers. So I didn't play it like that. I played it like all stealthily and just used a stun gun and stuff. Like, because I felt like that's how he would have played. He wouldn't be like, oh yeah, we're all about peace. Bazooka. Like, it's just not how he would have played. But the Watch Dogs, if you want to do it, you can. So it's like it sort of gives you that choice. If you want to be just a maniac, like on GTA, you can. But if you want to play it like a bit differently, or a bit more in tune with the characters, then you can as well. So it gives you that freedom, which I like.
That gives me high hopes. No, again, I was most probably going to buy it anyway because I did play 1 and 2, and I'm quite curious with Legion.
Yeah.
Also, it's in the UK, so I want to see those landmarks.
Yeah.
Because familiarity is always great.
It is nice to have a game based in the UK for a change instead of just some random city in America. It is nice. It's going to be in London.
Yeah. especially for people who live in the UK. I mean, American people are like, "Well, what are you talking about? There's a lot of familiarity in GTA. There's a lot of familiarity in all these games." It's like, yeah, but we're not there.
Yeah, we don't know.
When something comes to the UK, we kind of like say, "Oh yeah, I remember that. I've been there. I've been there. I'll take a picture there." Look.
Lots of red telephone boxes.
Yeah,
and people be like, sipping tea. Oh,
sipping tea.
There's gonna be so many funny like English stereotypes in this game, but never mind.
I know.
I don't mind them.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I think I'm actually more excited for Legion than I am for Valhalla. If I'm being honest, I thought I didn't even think of Legion. So. I thought like Legion, I'll pick it up next year, maybe on sale. But now I'm thinking I might get Legion at launch, and I might wait for Valhalla, or I might get Valhalla. I might still buy it, but definitely Legion's definitely I'm more interested in that game than Valhalla.
I'm a bit on the fence with both, just because it's Ubisoft.
Yeah, but
and it's mainly that. I mean, we'll see. I'll probably wait a little bit before I get either of them. One interesting thing I did read was that they're saying that both Assassin's Creed and Watchdogs may be in the same universe.
Oh, really?
So I'm not sure if they're doing that to maybe merge the two in the future. Like I said, with Assassin's Creed, they keep going backwards now.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm not sure when Valhalla is set, but I know Odyssey was before Origins. I'm not sure where Valhalla is on the timeline.
Valhalla is about 800 AD.
So it's before.
After yeah. It's like 800 years is our century, like our side of the zero.
And then in years in the timeline, the latest one I think was Syndicate, which was like
1830 or something, or 17 or something. Yeah.
So maybe the one after Valhalla they're going to do like a crossover with Watchdogs. I don't know. Maybe they're doing that. Maybe they're preparing for the future. Maybe they're going to drop one of those and just merge the two into one.
That'll be
I don't know.
Very interesting if they did that. To be fair, very interesting indeed.
So yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, now that final thought's sunk into our heads. Now Joel's just planning some absolute random propaganda about Ubisoft.
I know, yeah.
I
don't know if it's true or not. It may have been a leak, or it may have just been like some random dude who really did like a really good article that looked genuine, and I'm just an idiot and I believed it.
Yeah.
But it's out there in the world now.
GameFart.com.
Yeah.
I wanted to quickly go back before we finish and just say, when you said you're going to be a bit skeptical of this game, I feel like now for me, Ubisoft, EA, and Bethesda, I will be skeptical of all their games now because of how terrible their ethics of games have been over the past, say, 5 years. Like Bethesda, one of my favourite developers of all time, and now I just look at them with just despair. So,
well, apparently they're making another Mass Effect.
We should always be skeptical of these games now because they've all shown their true colours and how much they want the dollar and how much they don't always put, or they don't ever put the gamer's needs first. Not over the past 5 years, anyway, I don't think.
No, definitely not. But then again, like I said in the last episode, is it them or is it the publishers who just want the money, so they're rushing them and then...
It's hard, isn't it? It's just being skeptical and I think always letting someone review a game before you pick it up. That's sort of what I feel. That's where I'm at now at the minute. So I wasn't going to buy Tsushima because I just wasn't sure if it was going to be the game I thought it was going to be. It turns out it is. So I'm going to pick it up now, but I've just waited a couple of days to let the reviews start to come out to get an idea of what everyone else is thinking. Because imagine if you bought Fallout 76. Imagine how devastated you would have been.
Wow.
Like this broken game with just no NPCs or anything, just emptiness. Like
it's a bit like No Man's Sky. Remember the hype behind No Man's Sky?
Yeah, exactly. Again.
And then that was terrible. And now they're still releasing these updates, and they're still basically No Man's Sky, from what I've heard, is the game that they promised like 5 years ago when they released it. Whenever.
It's just the damage is done, isn't it? It's like, well, why release an empty game?
True.
So that's an example of people. That's an example of producers or developers promising the world and not delivering to an extreme level.
Yeah. Goes back to the over-promising and under-delivering.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I believe is completely wrong. You should under-promise and then over-deliver.
I agree. But, right, guys, let's wrap this up. We've just hit an hour on our podcast. Any final statements, Joel? As
always, comments. Let us know what you're thinking. Yeah. Let us know if you agree with us. I don't know if you don't disagree. If you don't agree with us, you don't have to always agree with us. You can say, yo, shut up.
Yeah, there's nothing.
You're wrong.
There's nothing wrong with a good bit of conversation. Now, if you guys have any topic ideas for us that you'd like us to talk about, specifically the trophy topics, please let us know, because we're always looking for ideas and things to talk about, because it turns out there's only so many things you can talk about relating to trophies we've decided. So we're always open for more ideas, more brains, giving us some feedback. And as always, please like and subscribe. The links to both our channels will be down below if you want to check us out. Give us a like and subscribe to our videos as well. We really appreciate it. And as always, guys, take it easy.
Bye-bye.